Hi guys, Paul here again with the money trend, and here we're into the fourth video in the series, and I've taken the indicators for supply and demand off the chart just for the moment and left us just with ATR and the price with the 7-period moving average here. So here we have the 7-period moving average of close and here the 7-period of open. And we mentioned a couple of videos ago that this would have been a good place to get into this trade, and as the volatility was very low, I would have had no hesitation in entering this market. And look what's happened. We've had an amazing move here, and we would have captured all of this so far and still be in this trade. I would still be in this trade right now. Volatility is spiked, but I'm not too worried about that while we're in the move. I certainly wouldn't be looking to get in the market here, but since we're in the move, I'm happy to stay with it. Now, so volatility's fallen off a little bit. This is a reflection of this up here. So we had a little bit of a sideways move here, which has kind of resolved itself into a resumption of, well, so far a resumption of the trend. We'll see what happens. But at the moment, this is nice and clean. The 7-period moving average of close is above the open and has stayed above the open all the way through this trend, so absolutely no reason to be exiting this trade at this point. So if we have a look at, we'll have a look at what the supply and demand indicator is telling us at this stage. So let's just get this one off the chart and we'll drag over demand first and see what the demand is telling us. So that's this one. We'll make that nice and green, and we'll turn this. I always like using a simple, as I've said, doesn't really matter. So here we can see from the beginning of this trend that demand has been rising. It's tailed off here. Now what that's an indication of is this little congestion, this sideways congestion here. We've got a lot of areas here where prices were rising but were met with supply, rising and met with supply, and we're seeing supply come into the market here live. As we're looking at this, we can see that supply is coming into the market. So there's a bit of overhead resistance in this area for sure. And if we go back on the chart, I can't move these, I don't think. No, I can't. That's we can see actually, I can't drag this chart. If I can just change this. No, it's not happening. We can see though that this is an area of resistance back here. So this is a known point of resistance on the chart. So I'd certainly be keeping my eyes open here for any signs that we may need to exit this trade. But at the moment, it's all good. So demand has tailed off, but it's starting to pick up a little bit again there. If we look at supply, I'm expecting that this should tell us that supply has been pretty flat for the most part. Again, we'll go simple here. Yeah, as we can see, right the way through this move, demand hasn't been, supply hasn't been falling. It's been sort of pretty much going sideways really through the whole of this move. Same here. So even though we clearly are seeing a little bit of supply in the market here because we're meeting overhead resistance, there's nothing that worries me in terms of the indicator's picking up at this point. So I'd be happy to stay in this move for a little while longer and just see what happens. We'll just take those off. And that just gives you an indication of how good this can be. Now, of course, you need a trending market. At the end of the day, if the market's going sideways, this technique is not going to work. But you can see that. You can see, you just have to overlay this on a chart and you would immediately see whether that's a tradable chart or not. Sometimes they won't be, in which case just leave them alone. Sometimes the best trade is no trade, and you've got to learn to be able to sit on your hands at times and have no positions on. And that's a valid position. Being flat in the market is really a valid position. All professional traders and speculators have periods where they're flat in the market, i.e. they have no trades on. And that's a sensible thing to do at certain times when the market's telling you that there's no action, there's no money to be made. Then sit on your hands. It can be difficult because as a trader you just want to be in the game, but there are times when that's not the appropriate thing to be doing and you should be sitting things out. We may be coming into, on this particular chart, we may well be entering a period soon, looking at this action, where we might be out of this but not going short, in which case we sit on our hands and we wait and watch and see what happens next. So hopefully this has been useful to you, and we'll see you in the next one.